Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Enderle, and this is Sophie from Forgotten Coast K-9. And if there are any veterans or first responders in the room, will you please stand so we could recognize you? Thank you all so much. We appreciate your service to our country. Thank you so much for having me this evening, Jennifer, and we appreciate being in the Tenacity book. And tonight I am dedicating my chapter in honor of my late husband, Corporal Brian J. Enderle. Some stories can only be told simply, without dialogue or drama. My story is one of those. And for anyone who might have warned me that I would become an empty nester and a widow within 2 months, I would have said you were absolutely crazy. But that is exactly what happened to me in 2022. Brian, my husband, and I had been married since June 2001. Brian served our country from 1994 to 1998 in the Marine Corps, which was a major influence in his life. I was a single mother to my 6-year-old daughter and just starting my career in transportation when we were married. Then we bought our home and our son was born. In 2021, I was getting restless, feeling creative, and ready to take on a challenge. I asked Brian what he thought about starting an online business as a side hustle. I was thinking along the lines of a boutique for dog apparel. Brian always wanted to make t-shirts, so we decided to do both. Part of our inspiration came from a desire to help veterans suffering from PTSD. We named our company Devil Dog Works and began networking so we could give back to local veteran organizations. The timing was good, as our daughter had just moved to Maine to become a morning news anchor, leaving her room empty. We had our workshop and our mission, and off we went. We marketed our products at various car shows and country music festivals. I interacted with the public, and Brian managed behind the scenes. At Freedom Jam, a country music festival, we were introduced to the Forgotten Coast K-9 organization out of Madison, Florida. We decided to make them one of the beneficiaries of our merchandise sales. About that time, our son made his choice of career paths. He wanted to become a Marine and follow in his dad and grandpa's footsteps. At one of our pop-up events, we met a local Marine Corps recruiter who started talking to our son, who mentioned that he had an appointment at the recruiting office that following Monday. That conversation filled me with apprehension as it confirmed we would not be leaving that office without signing documents and starting the enlistment process. Everything was changing so suddenly, I was glad I had the business to focus on. With the Country Music Festival just around the corner, I started incorporating beautiful rhinestone fringe jean jackets into the Devil Dog Works merchandise. I had a lot of experience over the years adding stones to my daughter's competition dance costumes, so I added these jackets to the website. The process of creating something so beautiful helped me focus. They were a terrific item to start promoting and helped me keep my mind off the fact that our son would soon be leaving for boot camp to become a Marine. My birthday was coming up, and Brian asked me what I wanted. He always gave over-the-top gifts for birthdays and Christmas, and he even wrapped the presents with each person's special wrapping paper. I'd seen these beautiful white country western boots and knew that's what I wanted. When he asked me, I gave him that silly, you don't have to give me anything response, knowing we were on a budget. I did mention the boots to him, though. What Brian didn't know was that he would also be getting a gift. I'd received a phone call in mid-August from the Country Western Concert organizer stating that the Forgotten Coast K-9 organization out of Madison, Florida, would be presenting 2 service dogs to the 2 veterans at the event. They had chosen Brian, and the presentation would be held on that stage. They wanted the whole thing to be a surprise, so I had to keep a surprise from them and use it to build community support. The concert organizer told me that all of the participating organizations had agreed that Brian should be one of the recipients. I promised that I wouldn't say a word to him, so I had to keep it completely secret. Our son had enlisted with 3 other young men from our area. I called them the Fab Four. On September 3rd, we hosted a send-off party for these boys. A lot of people were there to help us celebrate. On September 6th, my husband woke up with severe stomach pains and was throwing up. I wondered if he had picked up a virus being around all the people who he had shown up at the party that night. I also thought that all the times to be sick, this was the worst timing to be sick. The Forgotten Coast Canine Organization was presenting the service dog to Brian on that Saturday. I hoped it would pass quickly so he would be able to be on stage for the presentation. That turned out not to be the case. Brian was feeling worse as the week went on. On the day of the Country Music Festival, I hoped he could show up just for 30 minutes. I begged him, please just show up to the event for 30 minutes. But he was way too sick to attend. The organizers asked if I would accept the honors. To be honest, I was upset with him. I definitely did not feel right receiving that award on stage, as I am not a veteran. And he was the one who fought for our country. He deserved the recognition, not me. Here I was going up on that stage wearing my rhinestone fringe jacket and my new beautiful white country western boots that Brian had surprised me with earlier that week. He wanted me to make sure I had them for my birthday. I was so excited when I got home that evening, eager to tell Brian about the presentation and the 30-week training program they awarded him along with the service dog. He was already asleep when I got home, so I had to wait until the next day to tell him. That same day, on 9/11, we took our son to the hotel where he would stay until being flown to boot camp. I didn't like knowing we wouldn't have any contact with him for 13 weeks. I took so many pictures of my husband together, along with my son. We had no idea that father-son goodbye hug would be their last. Our son flew out to San Diego on September 12th, and on September 13th, Brian was worse. He was dehydrated and had severely stomach pains. We went to the emergency room and waited nearly 3 hours for the test to come back. When the doctor finally came back into the room with the results, I saw the look on her face and knew it wasn't going to be good. She told us that Brian was jaundice. He needed a stent in his bile duct because he was nearly septic from the bile that was spilling over into his system, and that he would need emergency surgery because they found a mass on his pancreas. Talk about having your world flip completely upside down. It was a double punch to the gut. My mind started racing. Everything changed in an instant. I couldn't focus. All these questions: what do we do? What is next? What happens if it's cancer? How do I make these stomach pains go away from my husband, who is lying here in the bed worried to death? How do I tell my family, my children? I had no way of calling our son because he is in boot camp for 13 weeks and I had no contact with him. Then I thought, okay, this is part of Brian's testimony, that's it. This is part of his story because he's going to fight this, and he will be that miracle. He will be telling his story to the friends and strangers while we are on the road as empty nesters. He will have his service dog. He will help veterans and first responders get their service dogs. Such thoughts gave me strength and hope until we found out he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and the cancer had spread. Tenacity is a word I don't often use, and yet tenacity is exemplified everything that happened next. Even when everything fell apart, I had to be resolute. I had to hold it together for my children. I reached out to Brian's primary physician, who helped me get through everything. I called the Red Cross to be put in touch with our son. Our daughter flew home when Brian was starting chemo in mid-October. Shortly thereafter, he took a drastic turn for the worst. He was placed on hospice November 3rd of 2022, which is exactly 365 days and exactly this time of this night a year ago. He lost his battle on November 4th, 2022. Writing this feels unreal. I'm so thankful for the tremendous support our community, family, friends had provided when we were all completely shattered. I will always remember the elegance and precision of the funeral with full military honors and the echo of the taps. Survival can come down to just being able to sleep at night, which I am again. I have Sophie, our beautiful service dog, who brings me peace. She is an extension of Brian. I remind myself that my mission is to carry on my husband's legacy to help veterans. Last but not least, I know my journey is to find out who Mary is. I know that with Sophie by my side, I will take each step, bravely wearing a fringed jacket studded with jewels and my white country western boots. Thank you.